Can you really make that much money making art? You can. You actually can. Hi guys. So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. If you are a returning subscriber, it's great to see you again. I am Sophie and I am a full-time illustrator and designer and the owner of Simply Sophie Designs. So I just went full-time with that business this year in November of 2022, and I really wanted to film a Q&A, just answering some of your questions and just chatting about life with you guys. So my dog is in here and I'm probably going to be like slightly distracted because I'm trying to keep her in one place. I'm going to go ahead and read off some of the questions that you guys asked me and go ahead and give you my answers. So the first question is, was it scary to leave your job? And the answer to that is maybe a little bit, like when I was first initially thinking about leaving, but also not really. This was not like a huge high risk decision that I made to leave my job. Like, there are a lot of scenarios where quitting your job to go full time could be a lot more high risk. And to me, I felt like I had more to risk by not going full time with my business. So there were some things that I set in place to make sure that I was ready to go full time with my business. And you know, sometimes people say a good rule of thumb is like waiting until you have like 6 months of consistent income. Like, I waited until I had like over a year basically of consistent full-time income. I've been doing this for 4 years and I've had consistent income, but this was like consistent full-time income when I didn't even have full-time hours to put into this job. And so to me, I was just like, okay, if I'm making a full-time income without even having full-time hours to put into this, imagine what I could be doing if I actually had full-time hours to put towards this job. And so I was like, I just feel like I have more to lose by not going full-time. I would just say that the fear didn't last that long. It very quickly became much more about my excitement and actually feeling very ready to do this. So I feel like, you know, when you put things in place to make sure that you're fully ready to do this, it doesn't have to be as scary of a leap as what people would anticipate it being. I put a ton of prayer into this and a lot of thought into this, getting support from a lot of my immediate family members and my mentors in life, my career mentor from college. Like, I really put, and ultimately, like, most importantly, from my husband, which is the full reason why, like, I would not have been able to do this without my husband's support and just like cheering me on. It made me feel really confident that I was going to be able to do this. Okay, this one says, about how many hours a day do you / will you put into your business? So for me, the answer to that really varies. I would love to say like, I'm going to work no more than 40 hours a week, but I think we all know that entrepreneurs typically end up working more than 40 hours a week. I would rather work more hours for myself than work for somebody else, because I can choose when and where I want to work during the day. If I want to leave the house to go shopping in the middle of the day, not that I really do that, but like, if I want to go leave the house to do whatever, I can go do it. If I want to go get lunch with one of my best friends, I can go do it. It's like that freedom and flexibility. Right now though, like, I'm really trying hard to put heavy boundaries in place of like, I'm not doing work on weekends, not working in the evenings. But there are times though where maybe I get like a later start in the day. And keep in mind, like, I've only been working for myself now completely as I'm filming this. Like, this is my second week. This is what I can tell you from my experience so far, is that sorry, my dog is in here. I basically, like, I'll start probably around like 8:30 or 9. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I like to go to Cycle Bar. When that happens, I'm getting a much later start to my day. I would say I have a much better handle on my schedule this week. And like, yesterday was Monday and I finished up my work really by 3:45, and then I went and got a massage. It just kind of varies, but that's kind of the beauty of being your own boss and being an entrepreneur. This question says, how long did it take for you to be able to do this full time? So the answer is 4 years. It'll technically be like a full 4 years in January of 2023. It took me a while, but I think it took longer than what it needed to. I was working a full-time job alongside this, so to be honest, I feel like because I didn't take the leap sooner, it just took me a lot longer to do this. Everybody's going to have to make a leap at some point, and if you keep delaying that leap, it's just only going to take longer for you to do it. Like, you kind of just get to a point where it's like, if I want to do this full time, I'm just going to have to do it. I think God's plan for my life is exactly how it turned out. God has a different story written for every person, every business owner, every entrepreneur. I have to pray about it and see what's right for me. And this is just kind of the path that the Lord led me on. Okay, how did you know it was time to quit? So I knew it was time to quit my job because my mental health was really suffering, and I was so exhausted and burned out from working 24/7 every day. As soon as I was done with work for that job, I was launching immediately into work for Simply Sophie Designs and working day and night, working weekends. When I wasn't working, I was stressed out that I wasn't working. It was starting to really impact my physical health too. I was getting migraines all the time. I was so stressed out. I was like crying all the time. And a big part of those tears were just me feeling devastated over the fact that I was like, I love my business so much. I know I could be doing this full time, and yet I'm not. I think the big tipping point though, because for a while my philosophy was like, if you can do both, do both. If you can make 2 full-time incomes, make 2 full-time incomes, because that meant that Ryan and I, my husband, we had 3 full-time incomes, which is awesome. But it just got to the point though where I was like, this is not even worth the money to me anymore. It's just not. And I also know that I can make 6 figures with my business, but I was never going to be able to do that with the current job that I was in. It was getting really hard for me to keep my job and my business separate. I was like, well, let me just stop this right now before it gets to a point where I'm leaving on bad terms because I couldn't get my work done, type of thing. Next question. I totally thought this announcement was going to be about kids. Are you going to be having babies in the future? So this was a DM that I got. Yeah, I would love to have children in the future. I've always felt like I am meant to be a mom. When I first got married to my husband, I was like, you know what? If we had a baby right now, like, it'd be okay. Like, I'm not trying for that, but like, if we have one, like, it would be okay. And right now I'm in a phase of like, oh my gosh, I do not want to get pregnant right now. Like, I don't want to anytime soon. I have too much to do and too much that I'm focusing on. My husband and I have been married it'll be 2 years in April of 2023. I still feel like a newlywed, and I'm just enjoying being that young married couple that we just bought a house, we just got a puppy, enjoying living that like cute married couple with a dog life. This question is, what will working with your ideal client look like? How will your designs serve their brand? That is a great question. Right now, I'm really enjoying working with other small business owners. I feel like there's just like a kindred spirit there of like, I understand like this is your baby, this is your small business, and I know how important my business is to me. A lot of people know what they want to say, but they don't know how to convey that message visually. They don't know how to get people to stop in their scroll and click on their profile to see what they're all about. A lot of my clients, they have the vision, but they do not have the time to bring it to life, to artistically, creatively convey that message. There's hand-drawn elements in everything that I create, which makes it 100% unique and gives it a different look that like nobody else is going to have. People love it. They just love it. And I love seeing how my current clients, how their audience reacts to things that they share that I've created. I want to have a close working relationship because trust is a huge part of that. If anybody out there is looking for somebody to help them with their social media, any marketing, promotional materials, new logo design, whatever it may be, hit me up. Basics of Procreate, how to buy your brushes in there. So the brushes that I use on Procreate, I have primarily gotten from Creative Market. There are a lot of other great tools that you can get to use within Procreate from a website called Creative Market. Different brushes, canvases, different things like that to add texture or uniqueness to your art, or maybe you want like a watercolor look. I would recommend finding watercolor brushes on Creative Market. First brush pack that I ever got was from Audrey Bailey, Brush and Barley. Basics of Procreate, I would say there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that give you the basics of Procreate. I could definitely create like a basics of Procreate video. I would say the tools that I use most on there are like the cut and paste tool. which an easy shortcut for that is on the iPad screen. You use 3 fingers, swipe up, and then a little like sidebar will come up and you can press cut and paste. I never create anything on the same layer. I create things on separate layers so they can move them around and change colors, things like that. Those are just like basic things. It's probably hard to understand what I'm saying without me actually showing you. Maybe I'll have to make a little YouTube tutorial with some Procreate basics. I have the 2nd generation Apple pencil, and if the little tip of the pencil ever gets damaged, you can buy new tips by searching like Apple pencil nibs on Amazon, and then you can replace them or get different colors, things like that. And then I use my iPad with Procreate, obviously. Here are the other questions. How did you grow your Instagram? Instagram is a lot different now than what it was in 2020. I think a huge thing that was working in 2020 was like posting every day, putting out really consistent content. I would capitalize on, things that were relevant, like holidays and stuff, posting things for that, focusing on creating shareable content, which that still does work for now, but it's a lot harder for a feed post to go viral than what it used to be. I've had posts that have gotten 40,000 likes. For now, that really hasn't happened for me in a long time. I have gotten to a point with my following where I'm still making money and getting clients regardless of like how I'm doing on social media, which is good. I've also expanded my the channels that I'm putting effort into. It's not just Instagram anymore. I'm putting effort into things like YouTube, which is where we are right now. Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok. Am I doing those, at 100%, doing them really well? I'm doing the best that I can. I'll be completely honest that my engagement rate on Instagram has dropped significantly, and it's easy to let that get to you. It's easy to let that bother you or be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, what am I doing wrong? But I'm kind of just focusing on my business, and, I'm active on social media. I love sharing things on my stories, but I lose hundreds of followers a week. And so I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. So I don't really have a great answer for that, and I'm sorry. I have been thinking about going into more detail about growth on social media and just like some of the things that I do know that are working. I've been thinking about kind of creating like a mini course that would be a much lower price point than my Passion to Profit course for small business owners. So if that's something you'd be interested in, let me know. This one says, how/when did you know what your drawing style was? I think once I got my iPad, that's when my style really changed. But I've always wanted my art to look very like hand-drawn. I was really inspired as a kid by the Amelia books by Marissa Moss. She's always been like one of my favorite artists, and I've just been really inspired by her. So it basically was like a book, but it was in what looks like a composition notebook, and it was like her journal, and there's handwriting in like basically everything I create, and it's like my own personal handwriting. I've always been inspired by journaling. I used to have like an art journal where I did like collages and things all the time, and that was like years and years and years ago when I was like in high school and middle school. So like with my art, I really wanted to bring in kind of like that journal, handwritten, like you're getting a peek into my like diary, at least for my own personal style. Okay, how did you get people invested in what you're doing online? I'm trying to build a biz. I think there's a lot that goes into that, but my biggest tip for that is humanizing your brand. People need to know who you are. You need to show your face. You need to show your daily life. You need to show personal things. I get a lot of engagement, a lot of story replies when I share personal things that have nothing to do with business, nothing to do with what I'm selling. I share client work, but I don't really get on Instagram very much to say, hey, here's how you can work with me, which I actually should probably be doing that more. I focused on like showing you what I can do rather than telling you. People will come to me literally just because they've seen something on the Explore page that I created and they want to know if I can recreate something like that for them. But I just spend a lot of time showing my face, my life, my personality on stories, and just being myself and making an effort to really humanize my brand. Okay. How to actually practically get clients when you're just starting out. So I think people forget the art of networking when it comes to being a small business owner. When I was in college, I was networking, like I was trying to get a full-time job in corporate, specifically with like an advertising agency, talking to people and just seeing, who I could get connected with. I like wasn't doing that with my business, because when I started getting clients, it was during a time in COVID where everybody was on social media. And so I had people from across the world asking to work with me. But I kind of like forgot about my local Indiana market, which is funny because now a lot of my clients are from Indiana. I still have some clients overseas and like in California, Florida, different states, but like so many of my new leads recently have been from word of mouth with other local business owners in Indiana. Like the small business community is very, very tight and loyal. I've been tapping into that more. I mean, my first client was actually somebody I had previously interned at a local magazine, and later on I ended up doing illustrations for the magazine. I can show you, I have all the magazines. I started doing illustrations for this magazine local to Indy. I did a ton of illustrations for them actually. I was doing illustrations pretty much like every issue for them. The woman that owned this magazine, she's now my current client for something else that she's doing. She's been like one of my best loyal clients ever. And she's, like I invited her to my wedding. Like I'm extremely close to her now. Like I love her. She's like a family friend to me now. There's a lot of clients that I've gotten that have just been out of like close relationship connections. Start networking with people in your area and tell them what you do. And then above all, get people on the phone. The best way to close a sale is not over an email, it's over the phone. And somebody can look at you through a webcam, see your face, get connected with you. It builds trust. You're able to explain your offer better, and it just makes it so much easier to close the deal. Okay, I've gotten a lot of questions from people wondering if I'm wanting to hire anybody right now to help with like admin tasks. I've had a few people reach out to me wanting to know if I'm looking for an assistant, and the answer is no. The thing about hiring somebody is that nobody's ever going to do something exactly the way that you do it, and nobody's ever going to care about your business as much as what you care about it. I know how I felt working for somebody else. So like because of that, I'm like, I think if I ever did hire somebody, it would be somebody that had their own like agency where I was a client of theirs, if that makes sense. Tips for new small biz owners and how to beat fear of failure. Here's what I will say on that. You can have a really great idea. You can be like, oh, I had this really great idea for this thing that I was going to do. But if you never did anything about it, that's all it ever was a good idea. It's fully possible. It's hard work, but it is so beyond rewarding, so worth it. It will change your life in ways that you've never thought possible. It will help with your self-confidence. Like there's so many beautiful things about it. But it won't happen though unless you're really willing to just do something to put in the effort. And not every day has to be a huge giant leap for your business, but every day there needs to at least be one step forward. We get so anxious, we're overthinking everything. We get in that like analysis paralysis mode where I can't decide, I don't know. And it's like sometimes you just have to do it and just go for it. And then if you fail, you fail. Every time you fail, you're showing yourself what isn't working, which will get you one step closer to what will work. Don't care about what other people think. Like I get on YouTube and yeah, of course, there are days where I'm like, people are going to think this is so dumb. I've got like 70 subscribers and people are going to be like, who does she think she is? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like a millennial Gen Z, like content creator. I know very well that there are some people that when I went full time with my business that were kind of like, really? But do I care? No, you can feel that way. But like I have been in prayer about this decision. I know that like I have an audience of one, and that is the Lord. And I feel 100% confident that I am living within his will for my life. There's times where I literally like imagine in my head like what somebody must be thinking, or maybe somebody makes a comment that like insinuates what they're thinking. At the end of the day, I'm still making money. So why do I care? When I first started my business and first started posting on Instagram, I had like, a couple hundred followers and felt like I was talking to myself most days. I thought that, like people are going to think this is really stupid. Well, you know what? Do they think it's stupid now? I don't know. I do not know. I'm sure there are some people that still think it's stupid. But like, again, do I care? No, because it's something that brings me so much joy. It has brought me financial freedom. It has brought me freedom in my life because of this thing that I started on Instagram 4 years ago that maybe some person thought was stupid. Who cares? Get on social media, be cringy, be whatever, be what you need to be yourself, be authentic, and show up every day. And if there's somebody in your life, somebody that you went to high school with that thinks it's cringy, who cares? Who freaking cares? I totally fully understand that there are some people out there that think that one, this isn't a long-term career option. Two, maybe think it's like not smart or maybe it's risky, maybe it's dumb, or like, can you really make that much money making art? You can. You actually can. If somebody has a problem with that, I will pray for you. It's easier said than done. But if you're feeling fear, as much as you possibly can, you have got to swat that away. Anytime those feelings come into your mind, you need to swap it away. You need to get rid of it. Say no, no, no. That fear kills more ideas, more successful businesses than you could ever imagine. Don't let that be the reason that you don't do what you were born to do. That's a great note to end on for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. Again, I'm just kind of like just getting started on YouTube with some stuff now that I actually have some time to create content. So if you could leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of these questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I love answering your questions. I love sitting down to chat with you guys. And I will catch you guys in the very next video. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.